You're listening to episode 114 of Financial Confidence. Financial Confidence. I'm Lynn Demons. That's Demons, no demons here. And we thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Financial Confidence, where we're helping you to make your money, keep your money, and grow your money so you can do those things that you're called to do. That's to build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for your children's children. We have an exciting show for you today. So go grab that pen, some paper, or grab that, whatever that device is that you want to take notes on, because I guarantee we're going to drop some juicy nuggets for you today. But before we get to that, we want to hear your money success stories. Don't forget, share your stories with us. Call us at 470-236-8282. Leave us a message and we'll follow up with you. Or you can email us at financialconfidence2020@gmail.com. That's financialconfidence2020@gmail.com. Also, guys, our guiding principle for this show is Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. We also implore that you pray over your finances so that you can be a good steward. If you will, bow with me. Lord, help us to value the things in this world that's really valuable. That's our relationship with you, our lives, and our families. Help make us responsible stewards of your financial resources, and let us trust your holy word in the eternal glory of our son Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen. Well, guys, we have a super guest in the podcasting studio today. She is the self-proclaimed, psychologically unemployable Leah Rutherford. Leah, how are you?
I am absolutely amazing.
Yes. Well, I just couldn't wait to say that, because when I heard you say that when we talked before, I was like, yes, I love it. I love the enthusiasm that you bring when you said that. So we are so excited to have a conversation with you today. And will you share with us about yourself, who you are, what you do, and what you bring to this conversation today for Financial Confidence?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Lynn Denman, no demons. I love that. And I'm excited to be here. I fully humble myself to a place where I am in alignment with the universe and the opportunities that are brought to me by being connected with you today. I don't take it lightly, and I know that there's no coincidences, but everything is divinely designed. So I'm ecstatic about this moment. My name is Leah Rutherford. I am originally from California, have lived in Texas for the past 25 years, where I am a lifetime certified educator that has chosen to take the entrepreneur path to empower other people. With my education background, use my methodologies and pedagogy to train trainers in cross-industrial spaces. So I like to call myself an edupreneur, as that the education in me gives me the opportunity to really connect with people in a unique way. And the platforms for which I am training leaders is through the multi-level marketing world, which I absolutely love. And to layer that with the industries that I have connected with in the multi-level marketing world, those include health and wellness, where I advocate for and endorse a product that has allowed me to lose 50 plus pounds in my 40s, post-baby at 40. And secondly, in the financial services industry, that I like to call that my LIPS services, legacy investment portfolio services, where I empower others to utilize their income to set up their legacy. and to prepare their generational wealth through legacy investments. And typically that includes life insurance, annuities, and so forth. And with that gives me the option to utilize the educator in me to build leaders and to train trainers in those cross-industrial spaces. So I'm always excited to talk about those layers are impacting my life, my finances, and my view on generational wealth and legacy building. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. God, I'm just so loving it. We got to get back to the list. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you, so our audience can learn a little bit more about you and can relate to you. What was your relationship like with money when you were growing up? Were there some things that oh no, I'm getting too hot.
Okay, are you okay?
Okay, hold on, give me a second. Let me stop the recording. Well, Leah, thank you for sharing with us your story, but we want to go back a little bit further and ask you about your relationship with money when you were a kid. Were there some things that your mom or that your grandmother or grandfather, someone along the line shared with you that helped you to, they laid the foundation, if you will, for this mindset that you currently have as an edupreneur? Love that word, by the way.
Thank you. I'm going to coin it. It's going to be registered soon. So I need my royalties. How many segments are, how many times is this going to I can calculate my royalties?
Yes.
But listen, so in my recollection, I give a lot and pay a lot of homage to my grandmother, who owned actually my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother owned a restaurant growing up. And I remember that being a stopping point often when we would be in Pasadena as a much younger child. She had a restaurant on Colorado Boulevard, which is where the Rose Parade on January 1st takes place annually. And so we would spend time at the restaurant. I remember that as a very young child. And then just knowing, you know, my mother's one of 10. I probably have 35 or 40 cousins in my generation alone. So there was always a bunch of us. And, you know, the eras that you grow up in and the families that you grow up in are your normal, you know, when you are in those places. And so I just remember that being a part of the normal, being at Grandma's restaurant on Colorado, where the Rose Parade takes place, or being at Grandpa's shoe parlor, where he would make shoes from leather and create shoes. He shined shoes there, and it was on one of the prominent streets in Altadena, which is a very historic city in Southern California. And now the real estate there is like so expensive you wouldn't want to invest. But, you know, to remember that growing up, that we would go to Grandpa's shoe shine parlor or to Grandma's restaurant, I didn't connect to that as an entrepreneurial spirit until I became more indulged in my entrepreneur space. And that then allowed me to recall like where this drive to just be my own boss came from. And so my parents were corporate workers. They went to a 9-to-5 every day. And so there's the marriage of the work ethic where you take care of your family and you provide for your family, and we come together and we make this work. I grew up in the same house. I moved into that house when I was 1. I didn't leave that house until I went to college. So the stability has been a very huge factor in my world. And I think those together were very fundamental. The entrepreneur spirit, the work ethic to provide for your family, and then that stability of like, this is what we've worked for, this is where we're going to be because we're building something. And that is the builder in me that I know is huge on being able to now look forward and say, I want my grandkids and my great grandkids to know my name because of what I'm building right now.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love the way that you tie the different generations together, that you share. You know, that's an amazing story that you share and an amazing background. And to have those types of memories of your grandmother's restaurant or your granddad's shoe store, and then understanding the fact that your parents did work in corporate. So now you being the edupreneur, how you're pulling it, tying it all together, right? And scaffolding it for your generations to come. So I love that. So as you think about that then, did you work in your grandmother's restaurant or your grandfather's shoe store, or did you have a different first job?
So I didn't work in either of those places because I was much younger at that time, but they were definitely places that we could connect with, either going there with my mom. At that point, you know, I was still probably 5 or 6. I was probably a preteen when my grandfather's parlor was across the street from the neighborhood grocery store. So I could walk from home to the grocery store to get groceries and then go to grandpa's shoe parlor. By that time I was older, but as you're sitting here, I've put on paper that my first job was at Carl's Jr., but as we're sitting here, that's not true. My first job was actually my uncle, who was the eldest in the family, God rest his soul, had a newspaper route. And he would pick us up in his big yellow van at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had to go and throw newspapers into the neighborhood. I think that was one of our first jobs. But keeping in mind, now if I have to talk about somebody who's psychologically unemployable, that guy right there, period. He wasn't working for nobody. He would employ people, but he was working for no one. And I remember him having the newspaper route. He also would work with my grandfather to shine shoes. He was the sharpest dressed man in all of Southern California. His favorite word was fiend. And baby, when I tell you he walked out of the house every day looking like a centerfold in a magazine, and most of the time he would design his own attire. He was the one who had the old-fashioned presses. So like now we have iron, he would use the old-fashioned presses to iron his clothing. And just, you know, there's very rich memories of just, he never worked for anybody. And I believe he was the first person I worked with, probably at about 13.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, and I'm sure there are many who are listening who can relate to that paper route. I don't know that they all had the uncle to pick them up in the yellow van, but I do remember a couple of kids in the neighborhood on their bikes, right? With that little bag on the side, throwing the newspapers out. So yeah, exactly. Definitely. I love that. And thank you for sharing, and, you know, sharing that memory with us. So as we move forward, let's fast forward a little bit. You shared with me the acronym HIRE, and HIRE is around hope, integrity, receivership, and empowerment. So how do you utilize this? You told me it's the philosophy of your work. Share with us what that means and how is that incorporated if someone wants to work with you?
Absolutely. So when we look at this acronym HIRE, of course, hope is just related to the fact that a lot of times it's difficult for us to look past where we are into a place in the future that we really would like to actualize, even if it's not in our hands right this minute. Having the capacity to visualize that is where the hope comes. And for me, one of the biggest pieces of hope is that, you know, I could ask many of the listening audience and viewing audience, do they know their great grandmother's name? Do they know their great grandfather's names? And I would venture to say that many of us don't, because they weren't in the position to leave us a legacy. But the ones whose grandparents, great-grandparents did leave them a legacy, they know that name. They probably have that picture on their mantle in their homes because it impacted their world as they know it right now. And so that place of hope for me is to create a space where my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, not just for the sake of formality, know my name, but they have a legacy in their hands that I have left to them for the work I'm doing today. that I would hope would open up a world to them that allows them to start at a different on a different playing field than I had to begin on, so that they have opportunities that they don't have to fight for and grovel for from the beginning of life. I want them to be able to start on a playing field that leverages them so that the struggle is not that. It's not because they don't have finances. It's not because they don't have land. It's not because they have poor credit. It's because they've been positioned to now be able to compete in the world and start from a place of building, not only pouring a foundation. I want to have that foundation there for them so they can go ahead and lay, you know, the third floor and the fourth floor because grandma left the first floor and the second floor on a concrete slab that they didn't have to worry about trying to figure out where it was going to come from. So that's the hope piece. And then of course the integrity is just functioning from a place where there's no question. It's not something that, you know, I did that was questionable, something that I did that did not provide a concrete opportunity for them. Sometimes we want to give amazing opportunities, but then when we're not operating from a place of full integrity, then it's like quicksand. And so the integrity, making sure that in business and in personal dealings, that it's never a question about how we were able to get from point A to point great. And that is very important to me for my legacy. I'm a single mother. And so the power of being able to live out this model in front of my kids, that is the integrity piece, that they don't have to say, well, at home, mommy was ... And when we got in front of people, mommy was something else. That's the integrity piece, is modeling this empowerment piece for my daughters so that they can also know it's okay to be strong. It's okay to have moments of weakness. And it is always okay and always should be the place where you operate from, and that being the integrity. And then of course,
guys,
yes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you said some powerful things right there, guys. I told you, if you did not have your pen and your paper, you were missing out. So make sure you also like and subscribe this show and get it out, because she's dropping some knowledge over here. I love it with the hope piece, building that foundation. And she's having a courageous conversation with us today. And Leah, I appreciate you for having that courageous conversation with us today, because she said she's a single mother. So there are no excuses, right? Oftentimes we make the excuse of why we're not doing a certain thing. But she said that even as a single mother, she is laying the groundwork for her children. She is modeling, right, this for her children to build that integrity piece too. I love it. She's given us hope. She's given us integrity. All right, Miss Leah, go ahead and finish up higher for us. I just thought that was too powerful to just let it go.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And so the receivership piece, I'm going to come back to that, because I would admit that that is probably the hardest piece of this for me. And so I'll go back to that. And then the empowerment piece is being able to transparently walk out your journey. So when we often connect with people that have been successful, we see their success. And we are gloating in and glorying with them in the outcome, not knowing what has gone, what their story is behind the glory. And so one of the places that I can use a very concrete example is that I've been on a journey with my health and wellness intrapersonally to get my health in order. Health is your greatest wealth. I could have this conversation all day long and not be healthy, and trying to build a legacy for my children would not be happening, just simply because you cannot function in an unhealthy space, in an unhealthy mind, body, or soul. And so being able to walk through a journey that has allowed me to lose 50 pounds in the past 5 months, and I do it on Facebook Live. I am riding my bike or walking or taking my products, or, you know, taking pictures of the foods that I'm preparing, or talking about the day that I fed my fat girl and just didn't get through the day because I needed some Frenchie's fried chicken and some fries. But really, seriously, the whole like trial to triumph process. And so for me, the empowerment in that is the transparency and saying, look, yes, this is where I was, this is where I am, and I am I'm committed to transparently walking out that journey with those that are willing to follow the journey and see it to the end. And from there, so many people have been empowered and inspired, because if you get to see me go from 287 pounds to 237 pounds live, you know, you can see me talk about the power of being able to build a legacy from my dining room in the midst of a pandemic as a single mom and a daughter that is the primary care provider for an older mom. She's very vibrant and take care of herself, but when it comes down to it, I'm the one she depends on to be okay. You know, and so the empowerment piece there is my ability to transparently share my journey. And I know that alone empowers people. So I mentioned that receivership was difficult for me because that's the side of it that requires me to be open when someone comes and says, I have a blessing for you. Because the giver in me, the educator in me, the empowerer in me feels like that's always my job, right? Is to be pouring. But the receivership part of that is huge for the entire cycle of the universe to come back around the way that it's intended for the ecosystem of the universe. And that's because there are people like yourself, Lynn, that have to be in the position to give to me so that you can be the pourer and you can be the empowerer and you can be the giver, so that the cycle of the universe and its ecosystem can flow back to you properly. And so being open to receive and accept blessings is something I've had to work on. And it was in my face one day when someone wanted to pay for my meal and I was like, oh no, I got it. She just looked at me, she said, you need to work on your receivership.
Awesome. You know, that is amazing. And you just spoke to me, and I love how you came into the camera and you did that, right? That receivership piece, that speaks to a lot of us, because oftentimes we don't know how to receive that, right? I know for me, it was a struggle. If someone even gave me a compliment, I didn't know how to receive that. Oh, I like that. You know, it wasn't just, oh, girl, thank you. It's, oh, yeah, thank you. I got it for so-and-so. It didn't cost this, or it's old, or it's, you know, we don't know how to receive that in that way. So I love that you shared that moment of transparency with us as you move forward. So guys, that's higher, right? That's hope, integrity, receivership, and empowerment. If you didn't get anything else, I hope that you got that today. But Leah, one of the things I wanted to go back to, you said your health is your wealth, and that is absolutely true. We talk about that often here. So you mentioned your journey and some of the other things that you use. So what are you using? Because I know some people are also dealing with that part of things as they're working on their finances, also looking at our health, because oftentimes, truth be told, we think that you can't eat healthy on a certain budget, or you can't eat healthy in a certain way. So what are some of the things that you're doing that may be helpful for the audience?
That's an excellent question, and thank you for asking. And so there's two sides of that question, okay? Because I have preferred to add supplements to my nutritional journey just because that was my preference. I do understand that there are other people that take the path that doesn't include supplements. For me, having a baby at 40 further increased my body's desire to stop functioning well, right? Metabolism slowed down. Hormones went crazy. You add post-baby fat to that and a couple of emotional life changes, and you have a recipe for disaster. By 45, I stand 5'1". I was 287 pounds. And I was working on eating right. I was trying to exercise, but I was just simply depleted and exhausted. And so in my moments where I would do boot camps for 2 months, I would lose maybe 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then I'd gain 20. And so I chose to add products that I found about 10 months ago now, back in October of 2019, from a company called Tava. And I want to show you the product that began the change. It's a detox tea. And let me tell you why this is so important. Many of us are carrying around waste that is the size of a newborn baby up to the size of a toddler. many of us in our colon have waste that is between 5 and 25 pounds. And that is additional weight that we're carrying around in our colon. It is causing us to have fatigue. It's causing us to have inflammation. It's causing our bodies to not be able to absorb nutrients properly. And so what we receive in our psyche is that we're hungry. But what it really is that our body is starving from a nutritional standpoint. And so when we think, I want a burger and fries, our body is saying we need some nutrients and vitamins. And when you have not detoxed, your body can't absorb anything from anywhere, not from whatever's left over from that burger that could possibly give you some protein or some amino or some, vitamins maybe. But if you're even taking vitamins, your body can't receive from those vitamins what is needed to build your nutritional value. And then if you are eating vegetables, again, the absorption doesn't happen when your colon is not clean. And so your colon is to your body what the equator is to the earth. It is the center of your body's functioning. And when the colon is not clean, none of the other systems in your body can properly function in a true balance. Detoxing changed the game for me. And that is why I'm an advocate for this as a supplement, because in the first 4 days that I used this product, I lost 7 pounds. Then I began to add more nutrition to my body by using a liquid vitamin. The fact that it's liquid, I was able to get maximum bioabsorption, and that gave my body, started feeding my body the nutrients and the minerals that I needed, that I could now actually absorb because my colon had been flushed clean. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, metabolism, 30s, 40s, 50s and up, metabolism is slowing down at a rapid pace. And so being able to not only lose the weight that is lost when that waste moves out of your body, you begin to boost your metabolism, and that burns fat at the cellular level. And so the third product that I've used, which is this Vita Plus, now called Flare, we've just repackaged these, this allowed my weight loss to become permanent. For me, this also shifted. When you have chronic fatigue syndrome, you begin to compensate for not being able to function by doing things like snacking on unhealthy foods, drinking a bunch of coffee, patting your foot because you can't stay awake in a meeting, or just not being present. For me, it was a matter of constantly having to say, wake up, Leah, in the middle of a meeting, wake up, Leah, in the middle of a conversation. When I began boosting my metabolism and infusing my body with this product that has a proprietary blend of herbs and minerals, the fog lifted. I didn't even know I was walking around in a fog of fatigue. When you have chronic fatigue, it's like being a person who can't read and you're an adult. You've learned how to compensate so much that you don't even realize that you're not functioning normally. And when I was able to then realize, wow, I'm no longer in a fog of fatigue. That then led to a lifestyle that allowed me to now bike and inspire people to buy bikes during this COVID, to walk daily. I'm now biking up to 10 miles. I'm 50 pounds lighter. The fatigue is gone. The weight is moving, and the whole process of living a healthier life has come in front of me in a way that I just kind of had given up, honestly. At 40 with an infant and a 7-year-old, and you're constantly tired. And at that time also, my mother's health was very bad in my baby girl's toddler life. I just was like, okay, Lord, I'm not quite sure what this means for my world, but I just remember not wanting to be heavy for the rest of my life, but kind of conceding to the possibility that I would be. And adding these supplements to my life was a game changer.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that fog of fatigue. And in many ways, people go through a fog of financial fatigue, just like they do that fog of fatigue in their health. They go around and they start doing things with their finances, right? that they don't even recognize the fact that they're in a fog. They don't recognize the fact that this is not the norm for me to live in this debt this way or in this situation this way. So that fog of fatigue can be financial fatigue, can be fatigue in your health, fatigue in so many different ways. So that's a very powerful story that you shared with us today. And Leah, we definitely thank you for being transparent with us, for sharing with us higher. That was hope, integrity, receivership, and empowerment. You know, I remembered it. I memorized it now, so I can tell you. Hopefully you did the same thing. So guys, we thank you for tuning in for this show, for this episode. And we want to say, Leah, if there's someone who wants to contact you, what is the best way they can contact you? Are you on social media? You have a website that you would like to share today?
Absolutely. You can contact me at my name. That's my tag on Facebook specifically, Leah Rutherford. My email is lean, Lean, to the number 2, lead, LEAD, global @gmail.com. And that's based on a philosophy that you got to be lean to lead, and just being able, and lean in so many areas, like you mentioned, lean financially, lean in your heart, mind, body, soul, and money, in the holistic wellness space. So Leah Rutherford is, I can be Googled. You Google Leah Rutherford, no H, and you'll find me. So I'm ecstatic about this moment. The last option is also via phone, and that would be 877, and it's Leah, Lea, Speaks, SPKS. 877 Leah, Lea, Speaks, SPKS.
Awesome. Leah, we appreciate you so much for sharing with us and stopping by Financial Confidence today. Guys, make sure that you share your money success stories with us. Don't forget to call us and leave a message at 470-236-8282, or email us your story at financialconfidence2020@gmail.com. That's financialconfidence2020@gmail.com. I'm Lynn Demons. That's Demons, no demons here, y'all. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next week, the same time, the same place. Don't forget to like and share, because sharing is caring. All right, guys, until then, you stay safe.